It takes confidence to stand up in front of a live audience to deliver a speech or hit record to make a video, and especially to broadcast live, just like I'm doing now. But you're probably watching this on replay. But the real issue is, how do you establish your credibility if you're not the world's leading authority? Hmm, interesting. Well, the good news is, after I get rid of these pop ups, sorry about that. The good news is that you only have to know what you need to know to get through that session, whether it's 5 minutes, 20 minutes, or for some people, a couple hours. It just depends on the presentation. The bad news is, well, there is no bad news. Yay, that's the good news. But there is preparation and hard work to make it happen. Okay. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal to you the fastest ways on how you can ruin your credibility and how to build it and how to avoid ruining that credibility. And then I'm going to give you a couple great tips at the end of this on how to establish and maintain your credibility throughout your delivery, whether it's live or record for the entire world to see, possibly. It's kind of intimidating. Don't let that intimidate you. Or just talking to one person, like I'm talking to you right now. Now, establishing your credibility in a speech is easy. Once you know what to do and say, of course, along with some confidence, because you have to have some confidence to do this. But how can confidence establish credibility? Hmm. Well, it can't do all of it, but it can definitely help, but only if you prepare. And it's all about the preparation. So when I say confidence can ruin your credibility as a speaker, well, go in unprepared, have no idea what you're going to talk about, and it can ruin your credibility pretty quick. Now, there are some other things that can happen. When you first walk in front of a live audience, say a classroom or an auditorium or a theater or something even bigger, and people first see you, they don't know who you are. They turn on your video, they see a smiling face or they see a frowny face. They see different postures, hats, they see different clothing, they see what's behind you, the what's called the artifacts of who you are. We don't know if that's a green screen. This is not a green screen. This is live. It is not. Everything on that says that that person is who they are, right? Not exactly. Even with the highest level of confidence, without a plan, you can still ruin your credibility. All this stuff is great. It helps, but it doesn't take the place of you, or I should say you. Now, how do you start off your presentation to wreck your credibility? Well, it's real easy. You come up there and you do a stupid attention getter, a dumb joke, racist joke, a dirty joke. Hey, I got a dirty joke for you. Check this one out. Two pigs fell in the mud. Okay, yeah. For kindergartners, that works. For adults, maybe not, unless that's the point of your attention getter. Okay, so think about your attention getter, write it out, plan it out, practice it. All right. I tell my students all the time, please practice, 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 because you may feel that you're so confident, but you get up there and it's gone. Something happens where our brain just turns off. That could happen to me at any moment and not even realize you're doing it. Some people freeze. Okay. Some people get very nervous. Some people go up there confident and all of a sudden it's somebody look at me. Now what do I do? Well, you're looking at me. Well, your single little black circle up here is looking at me, but you're still looking at me and I'm looking at you. Does it make me nervous? Not really. I'm pretty comfortable with that. But again, I have to prepare. Now, in your plan of action, you have to, some people like to memorize. I don't always recommend memorizing, but I do recommend memorizing your beginning and your end and your transitions in places. This can help build your credibility because it looks like you're planned. People that hear people that are planned tend to respect that a little bit more. Okay. One of the other things in planning is the dirty word of research. Okay. Research out what you're going to talk about. Some people can get up there and just go. When I was a kid, I could talk about anything to anybody and make up anything. I was quick. Now, not so much, because I've learned I need to do some research. Otherwise, after about 30 seconds to a minute, it's just blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to say B with a hit at the end of it, but you know what I mean? It's there. Do your research, spend the time. If you're in a rush, don't be in a rush. That means you procrastinated. And if you check out my other channel that you could scroll down in this and find that other channel, that will eventually be called The Wheel of Success, but it's also Stephen Walters is a channel. I deal with procrastination on that channel. Go check that out, by the way, too. I took that off this channel a while ago. It used to be part of it, but it just doesn't fit in with what we're talking about in communication right now. So go check that channel out, too, when you get a chance. Doing the research makes a big deal. When you're doing that research, you need to write it out and you need to practice it. How do you bring your credibility to the research? Bogus research. Okay. I heard that. No, don't use it. Don't use it. Who'd you hear it from? You have to cite your sources. Now, this is a very important thing for me, and it should be for anybody in any walk of life. Who told you that? Okay. What was your source? Well, I heard it online. Okay. Most of us hear about 90% of what we hear online. Some of us, I hear it 100% online because I don't watch live TV. Everything I have is technically online. So I have to go beyond that. I heard it online on so and so's channel, or I saw it on so and so's news network, or so and so's blog site, or so and so's vlog. Whatever it is, I need to cite that to be credible. If I just say, well, some dude or some gal said it on their YouTube channel, it was pretty cool what they said. Well, what did they say? Who said it? Okay, I want to know more, right? How are you going to know where to find that information at if I don't tell you where it is? Now, if I say, well, I can't remember who it is right now, but I'll leave it in the description below, then it should be there. And then I just have to remember to go back after the video processes and I put it in there for you. Okay, that's how we do it. The other thing is you need to avoid plagiarism. Now, this is more so in the academic world than the real world, but in the real world, you can get sued if you take somebody else's idea and claim it as your own. Technically, everything we say, everything we write, everything we do, somebody else has done it at one point or another. There's been billions and billions of people on this planet for a very long time. And somebody should do the math of how many people have ever lived, even just going only back to 2,000 years or 2,200 years ago to make the math easy. Is I don't think it's a trillion, but it's a lot of people. Okay. There's a whole lot of people that have been around. It's been said, it's been done. And I always wonder, how do we not repeat something? If you go through a spell checker, that spell checker will tell you plagiarism, 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 because words link together. It's just how the language works, at least the English language. Always, always, always mention your references out loud. Say who, when, why, where, how, all the fun things. Where did you hear it from? I heard it from so and so's magazine last year on, you don't have to go into the actual page and the paragraph, but give the author the credit. They wrote it, cite it. Now, speaking of authors, anonymous source. I don't accept anonymous sources in my classroom. It's a matter of you made it up. Okay. So and so said, who so and so? Is that their name? So and so? I mean, it could be, I'm sure there's somebody on the planet named so and so somewhere. Somebody's probably changed their name to that as a joke. In the news media, in politics, an anonymous source. Who? I want to know. Are they legitimate or is it made up? When I hear anonymous, I hear lie. I don't know what you hear, but I hear lie. Okay. So always, always, always to boost your credibility, mention who your source is. Unless they say you may not use me, don't use my name, but here's how you can cite it. Say a prominent attorney in my area said I cannot use their name, but they said this. And if you want to know information, contact me and I'll ask them if they could contact you. There's another way to do it. Now, in the news media, they generally don't do that because, again, are they telling the truth or not? I'm an inquiring mind, and inquiring minds want to know. And I heard that a long time ago from, I believe it was the National Enquirer. And I can't tell you what decade, but it was last century sometime. See, I'm trying to cite my sources. The other thing is when you're interviewing people, you can cite who it said. And depending what environment you're in, if you're in a classroom, you got to check up APA or MLA. There's books on that. I don't even keep that information in my head of how to cite that sources. My brother said this, or my sister said that, or my wife or my husband, or so-and-so, a friend. There's ways to cite those sources, or a roommate said. You want to give them some credit to that. But again, do it the right way. If you're interviewing experts, you need to, and you should definitely ask their permission. Can I use that information? And let them know where it's going to go. If you do a secret recording, like some of the undercover news do, you're going to end up in some trouble. I mean, but they have lawyers and they know how to do all that stuff. For us regular people, I would say ask permission. Always, always, always ask permission. Another great way to boost your credibility is to share your personal experience. You're the expert. If it happened to you, You are the expert. Let's say you got hurt and you went to the emergency room. Not a lot of people have done that in their lives. As we get older and we don't have parents and people to take us to the emergency room, we have a sore throat. You have to go yourself. Well, what's it like there? I don't know. But when this happened to me last year, this is what, and then you tell your story. The trick is when you're telling your own story, be as short and concise and to the point as you can. Well, I went to the emergency room and I met this really cool old guy, and this old guy told me about this. And then next thing you know, you're talking about cars or baseball or football or something. Don't do that unless it has direct implication to that story. So be careful about that. People love stories. That's how we learn, right? We tell stories, we share information. Technically, everything we say to each other is a story in one way, shape, or form, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, reality, fantasy, it doesn't matter what it is. But again, people love stories. But again, keep it short. Okay. Now, here's those bonuses I told you about. How do you maintain your credibility while you're speaking? Okay. The sentence structure, the sound of it, not the actual sentence, but how you end it. One thing that drives me insane, literally, I can pull my hair out, and I like what little hair I have left, is when people end a note on a high note. That's a question or a statement. Now, a statement or a question. Well, you got to practice these things. If you end on a high note, it sounds like you're asking a question, or your credibility is low, or you have little confidence, or nobody's ever told you, don't do that. I'm saying, don't do that. Change the pitch at the end of your sentence. When I taught martial arts, and you could see, whoa, where's my credibility? Oh, up here. There it is. I was told, don't end your sentences up. I thought, I end my sentences up? Oh, I do. I do? Yes, I do. So that I fixed really quick. I wasn't totally aware of it until somebody said that. And guess what? I don't think I ever made that mistake again. Did I? See how that works? You got to practice those things. The other thing is the sing-songy note of when people get into a rhythm of delivery that it's like they're telling a story to a child and or they're just not sure how to do it. Okay, please don't sing song through sentences. Usually this happens when people are very nervous and they're reading. If you read verbatim of what you wrote, you will end up in a pitch and a high song and low song, and you'll be doing this. And people are going to start doing this, and it's going to feel like they're in a rocking boat and they're going to puke. Maybe not. I get nauseous, actually. If somebody does it for 5 minutes, I actually get sick to my stomach. It's just this up and down thing. Now, body language. Can you see it? If I'm slumping in my chair, you can't really tell, but this is upright. Okay, so I'm sitting very upright and I'm kind of here, I'm kind of here, I'm leaning. You could kind of tell or hear that my head is kind of down, or usually I'll see this when people are talking, their head will go down, and depending on the hair, body language matters, right? When you get up in front of that room or you sit in front of a camera, think about what your body's doing, where your shoulders are, where your head is, what your hands are doing. This is part of it, okay? And speaking of hand motion, this can add or distract from whatever it is that you're talking about. And hand motion definitely deserves more time than we can talk about right now. So, to keep my credibility and my confidence and your time respectful, I'm going to ask you to watch this video next on 7 effective hand gestures. Okay. Also, toss a thumbs up. It's another hand gesture. Subscribe. It's another hand gesture. Wow, look at all these hand gestures. See, we could always squeeze these in somewhere.